Welcome to the Celiac Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Lucia Cordero, and this is where we get real about life with celiac disease. Each week, I'll share practical gluten-free tips, wellness hacks, and honest conversations about the emotional side of living with an autoimmune condition. Think of this as your weekly mix of support, relatability, and inspiration to help you not just survive, but thrive with celiac. Before we dive in, just a quick reminder, I'm not a medical professional. Everything I share is based on my own experience living with celiac disease. This podcast is not medical advice, so please always consult your doctor about your own health. Welcome back to the Celiac Diaries podcast. I'm your host, Lucia Cordero, and we have Riley with us here today. How do you pronounce your last name?
Neubauer.
Neubauer,
Yes.
Riley Neubauer.
It's German, so if I were German, I would say Neubauer, but I am not, so I've Americanized it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming to the studio. Riley DM'd me like less than a week ago, so we made this happen really quickly.
I know, it was really impressive.
Yeah. And Riley is a grad student in London, but you're originally from New York City,
Yes.
and you DM'd me saying how you've noticed such a difference in living with celiac disease in the U.S. versus the UK. And we've talked about this a little bit vaguely on different episodes with various guests on the podcast. So it's something that I've been interested in. And then whenever I got that DM from you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be such a great episode. I have to have you on ASAP before you go back to London for school. So I'm so excited that you're here.
No, thank you for having me. This is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have celiac disease.
I do.
You were diagnosed at 12.
Yes.
Okay. And you're 22 now.
I am. So it's been a decade, which is crazy.
I know, right? That is so wild. So how did you get diagnosed when you were 12?
I wasn't growing or gaining weight. And so my doctor tested me for like everything that could possibly be wrong, essentially. And we found out it was celiac. And I have two younger sisters. And so the middle one she has the gene, but she hasn't developed it. And then the youngest one, her name is Piper, she also has celiac. And so our whole house is gluten-free. Everyone in my family is so like kind and easy about it, which is really nice. It made life so much easier. But I would say it was really, really stressful when I was 12. And I was told like, you can't eat gluten anymore. And my immediate reaction was my life is over because I was a 12-year-old girl.
I know, it's just so overwhelming.
Yes.
It's like hard to digest that. Yeah. So your parents also are gluten-free?
So they eat gluten-free like when we're at home and like when we're out just so that it's easier, which I am so grateful for.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But no, my mom has the gene but hasn't developed it. So the same as my middle sister, and my dad is just normal.
Okay, interesting. So what is the like guidelines if you know for someone that has the gene but hasn't developed it yet? Like do they go every few years to get tested just in case, or are they just like kind of on the lookout for symptoms?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm not sure. I should honestly ask them. But I know that it's some type of blood test that they do like semi-regularly just to check. But I know that there's been research recently about like what triggers the gene to activate. I'm not a scientist. I don't totally know. But it's been interesting to me because I'm surprised almost that they haven't developed it. I know that sounds really crazy, but if like my sister and I have it, I'm surprised that the rest of the family hasn't like been triggered in some way.
I know, it's so interesting because it could be triggered by so many things, like a virus or like stress.
Yeah.
It really is so fascinating. I feel like I've been trying to do more research on that because like I'm not having kids anytime soon. I'm like single, but like
but it's interesting to know,
to think about like the future. Like, okay, like am I going to pass this gene on? Like, how does that work?
I haven't even gotten that far yet.
Well, you're still in grad school, so like you're good.
But still.
But yeah, okay, so in today's episode, we're going to get into everything about your journey from moving from New York to London. And I mean, we were just talking before we hit the record button that like it feels so different for you.
It does. It really does. I would say like a normal grocery store trip is so much less stressful because like, I don't know, before I went to school, so I went to William & Mary, so I was in school in Williamsburg, Virginia for college. And I just remember having to go to more than one grocery store in order to get all of the things that I needed for like the week or the next few weeks. And
I think that's such a common celiac experience. Like
it is. Yeah. And there's some of that in New York, like less of it than in school. And there's even less of it for me in London. I feel like I can go to like one store and have like my full like grocery shop, which to me is like insane. Like I feel like a normal human being, like I said to you earlier, like it feels so much easier and calmer.
Yeah, I love that. What's the one store in London that you go to?
Usually I go to Waitrose because it's the closest to my apartment. But honestly, like any grocery store you go into has so many options. And it's kind of overwhelming because there's like new things for me to choose from. And so I always like pick like a new dessert each week to try. And it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun and so different than I've experienced here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't heard of Waitrose, but I've never been to London, as I was telling you. But maybe this episode will influence me to do a trip or an extended stay. Who knows?
There you go.
Okay, so let's do our little segments. First up, we have Gluten-Free Fave of the Week.
So I just tried gluten-free Cheezits like this afternoon right before I got here. I tried them with my whole family and they're so good.
They are.
They're so delicious.
I've been seeing it everywhere on social media.
They're so good. I would say, so I found them like kind of like crunchy, but I also like, I don't remember what an original, like what a normal Cheez-It tastes like. So I'm not a good comparison, but my sister was like, they are more crunchy than normal Cheez-Its in the way that like gluten-free pretzels are like crunchier than like normal pretzels, if that makes any sense.
And some people like the texture of gluten-free things better. I mean, we don't have a choice, but like I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So,
but they were really good. Would recommend.
Interesting. Okay. But I will say, not to be annoying, but if you're not gluten-free, please don't buy the gluten-free Cheez-Its because they're in short supply. I haven't been able to get my hands on them.
We ordered some. I was like
online.
watching. Yeah, I ordered them from Target, I think.
I should do that. That's probably the best way to get them. Okay. Next up, we have our news of the week. The White House released like a new food pyramid and updated federal dietary guidelines, which is kind of a big deal because I feel like we've had the same like pyramid for like the longest time. And I follow a bunch of like the wellness accounts online and like they're all like sharing this. And basically now the pyramid is upside down. Before it was the other way. And there's a bigger emphasis on like whole foods, higher protein, fruits and vegetables, and reducing like ultra processed foods and added sugars. You know, I just think it's interesting. It's not really like my place to say if this is like, you know, something that's like right or wrong. But I do think it is interesting just in general how the U.S. is starting to talk more about the food system.
Yes.
And how we're starting to move towards just like focusing more on whole foods and like the big corporations, you know, all of like the food policy and labeling issues. I think like there is starting to be somewhat of a crackdown on that. And this is maybe just the start, but we'll see. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on the new pyramid.
I've only seen it like very briefly. I haven't read a ton about it, but I know that some like nutritionists and dietitians are a little bit frustrated with the way that it's turned out, but I unfortunately don't know as much as I should.
I know. Yeah. Well, I think there is a big controversy about the red meat aspect of things.
Might be, yeah.
I know that's a big controversy that I've seen, which again, like I'm not an expert. I don't know what to speak on that. I think everyone, at the end of the day, like with these sort of things, like there's like bread on the pyramid. Obviously, we're not going to eat bread. So like everyone has to do what's best for themselves and take things with a grain of salt.
I agree with that.
Another thing that I saw was like they didn't have like an alcohol drink like limitation recommendation that people were concerned about. So it's just interesting food for thought, literally.
Yeah.
And that is what is happening in the U.S. right now. But yeah, that's actually a good segue into getting into our episode topic. So first, before we hear all about like Riley's journey and experience personally with moving to London and the differences, I kind of wanted to give you guys like a little crash course and breakdown. I did a little bit of research after you DM'd me to see like what actually are the differences in the laws in the UK versus the US, which will kind of give us a foundation to see how those laws like have an effect on the actual personal experience that you have like living in London versus the US. So this will just kind of give everyone the lowdown.
I know this is good for me too because like I've experienced it, but I didn't totally know like the official laws, so it's educational for me as well.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so just in general, in the UK, allergen communication is a lot more standardized, especially for like restaurants and grab-and-go foods. In the US, packaged food like gluten-free labeling is somewhat clear, but it's a bit inconsistent. I think I just shared recently on the podcast that there was like an allergen label law that's going to be in effect in December 2026 in New York that requires like the 6 or 9 major allergens to be listed on prepackaged foods.
Which is so exciting. And I think it's about time, honestly.
So exciting. But one of the big differences also that I saw in like the UK versus the US is that in the US, gluten isn't really considered one of the top major allergens, which kind of makes it confusing for celiacs because we're just kind of looking for wheat, but there's still that unknown of like, okay, there could be barley or malt in this and that it's not really distinguished.
Yes. And I feel like there's also a lot of like gluten removed wheat products that are starting to pop up, which makes it like so much more confusing.
I know. And that's something we've been talking a lot about on the podcast lately is like there is a difference between gluten and wheat.
Yes.
And everyone needs to be aware of it.
Yes,
not
they
just people that have celiac or people that are gluten-free or wheat-free, but I think just the general population should know, especially like someone that's working in food service or creating labels for products and putting either gluten-free or wheat-free on it. I think that's really important. And I think, you know, potentially policies like this just make it more enforced that people know what it is and are adhering to the labeling requirements, which is interesting. So yeah, another law that I saw that they have in the UK that does not exist in the US is Natasha's law. So this is the specific like for prepackaged direct sale foods. Like this is so common in New York. Like you just pick up like a yogurt bowl or like a sandwich.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't because like typically they're not gluten-free, but like that's like such a thing for people to do. And in the UK, Natasha's law says that you have to have full ingredient lists with the allergens emphasized. So it gives you all the information right there so that you know for sure. You're not like, oh, maybe this is gluten, maybe it doesn't. I think honestly, it would even be a better experience being celiac if like everything was like very clearly labeled in a prepackaged section that it had gluten in it.
Right, because then you don't have to like, what if I could maybe eat in this one specific like place like this one time? Like
exactly, yeah. Like I'd rather just know with 100% confidence that something is not gluten-free rather than be like second guessing and like Googling it and being like, maybe, or like,
is it worth the risk, really?
Yeah, or like having to talk to like someone at the store, which I mean, like, I'm not trying to say it's like annoying to have to talk to someone at the store, but like when it's every single time you go to the store, it's like, okay. Like,
it's draining. It's really draining. And oftentimes people don't totally know, which is not their fault, but like nobody really like has answers for you most of the time, or like at least in my experience here.
Exactly. And I feel like whenever you're going somewhere, like I was skiing over the break and I was at this little like mountain lodge thing like on the top of the mountain for like a break to get food, and those are notoriously like not very good.
You can never eat anything.
Yeah, but they like randomly had gluten-free labels on the menus of like some of the places. It was kind of like a food court.
It's awesome.
But they did not make sense. Like there was a Caesar salad with croutons and it said gluten-free, and I was like, I don't know about that.
That just doesn't sound right.
Exactly. So then I like asked for the manager and like talked to them, and it was like this whole like 15-minute thing, and then they went back and then asked the kitchen, and I was like, okay, if they just like had this laid out and it was like, I guess like legally required for them to like have this laid out and have the information ready, it would have made everyone's life so much easier. Yes. Not just mine, but like theirs. They wouldn't have to take the 15 minutes to like figure it out. So I think that's just another example of how it can be more difficult.
I feel like vacations too, when like you don't like have your places, you know what I mean? Like in like New York, I feel like I have my places that I know are like I can definitely eat there. And so if I need something, depending on what neighborhood I'm in, I know where to go. But when you're like out of your comfort zone, it's so much harder to find those places and to find the things that are safe. And so especially if you're on vacation, there's other people around you, you like feel badly about like making other people wait or like making other people like have to go through this whole process with you. Or at least I do. My friends are good about it. And they're like, no, you're being ridiculous for worrying. But I don't know. I still worry.
No, totally. I get that. I think like traveling, it's just like another thing that you have to have in the back of your mind that when you're in a routine at home, like sometimes you don't really have to think about celiac disease that much. If you go to the same spots, you know what you can get, you are cooking at home, like it's not a huge deal on your mind. But if you're trying to find something and like there's no other option except for that place, like you really have to like
is it worth it or am I going to be hungry? And that's never a good decision to make.
Exactly. I know on the mountain I was like, I need to eat something or I'm going to like pass out. So hungry. Okay, another difference is packaged food labeling. So there's the 20 ppm standard of like if for the FDA, the definition is that foods labeled gluten-free must contain less than 20 ppm gluten to meet the rule conditions. And then in the UK, it's also, the same exact framework there. But the difference is that, and this is kind of what we were talking about with like the allergen labeling law. So a UK allergen label warning would say gluten specifically as like a regulated allergen category, which includes like wheat, rye, barley, malt. But in the US, they only highlight wheat. So barley and rye and malt are not like required in the allergen labeling. So in the US, something will say like no wheat, but that doesn't mean that it's gluten-free. There's no like specific like this may contain gluten. Like if people have seen like on a label and you're looking at something and it's like manufactured in the same facility, may contain,
yeah.
It never says gluten.
No, it doesn't. But in the UK, it does. Like
a
lot of times the labels will say, or they'll say like not suitable for those with like dairy or gluten allergies or something like that. And then that even if it doesn't say, you still can't have it because they know that that's one of the allergens, which is like incredible, honestly.
That's so interesting. And I know it's confusing too in the US because sometimes it'll say like may contain wheat, but then it's certified gluten-free.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
But it's like, okay, is it like buckwheat? Like, is it gluten removed wheat? Yep. Like, what is going on? It makes it difficult.
It does. It really does.
Another thing that's different in the UK is that they run a gluten-free accreditation program. So more like standards and training for like restaurants and food service providers, which to my knowledge, we don't have like a comparable thing in the US.
I think Shar's, the brand, I think they do something similar.
Okay.
I'm not totally sure. My sister, I know, me too. My sister and I were doing some research into it a couple months ago, so she would honestly know better than I do. But I think they do some type of accreditation program for like restaurants or for something. I don't know. I don't want to like say anything because I don't totally know, but I do remember reading about it, and so I would hope that programs like that could come to the U.S. at some point.
Totally. And I mean, I feel like the point of this episode is like, if this happens in the UK, then it's like we could totally do it in the US too if it's a priority and, people fight for this.
Yes.
So I think it should be inspiring, hopefully, to this like generation of celiac, gluten-free,
it should be,
allergy activists. Okay. So now we have like a foundation for kind of like the basics, like, and guys, these are just like the basics of like the differences between the US and the UK, not like a full deep dive, but I encourage everyone to do more research. I feel like I kind of want to do even more.
I know, like I now want to do more like official research into it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to get into your experience about how it's been different overall. I know you were saying like you feel like a normal person again living in London.
I do. I really do. I can walk into like any in my experience so far, I've been able to walk into like almost any restaurant and be able to eat something safely and like not feel as like stressed about asking all my questions, if that makes sense. I remember like one of my first few weeks there, I went into like a little Italian restaurant and they had gluten-free pasta on the menu. But always when I order gluten-free pasta, I have to make sure it's boiled right in separate water. And so I asked, and like the waitress, she was so sweet. She looked at me, she was like, of course. Like, why would we not? Like, obviously, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Like,
instead of being like, what do you mean? Like,
right. Like, or let me check. Like, I don't know if we can do that here, which people have said to me. Which, like, I appreciate the honesty, but like, I'd like to be able to eat safely.
Totally.
But it just, like, when I get responses like that, it just makes me feel so much better. Because even if I, like, happen to forget a question or I don't, like, specify things, like, I know that people have, like, the understanding of what celiac is and that the infrastructure is there in most of the restaurants and most of like the like food service companies where I can eat safely and not be as stressed about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you find like when you go to restaurants,
it's so much easier.
Everyone knows what celiac is. Have you had an experience where someone's been like, what is that? Or no?
I've had experiences where people know what it is, but they refuse to serve me because they know that they can't serve me safely, which is honestly like I would much prefer that.
Right.
But no, I haven't run into anything where people haven't known. And it's been marked on a lot of the menus also, like very consistently marked, where I feel like it's not – New York is getting better, I would say, in terms of like marking menus or like people knowing when you ask questions. But I think like consistently things are better marked, both for gluten-free and then for other like allergens, like a lot of dairy-free, vegetarian, vegan things are marked on menus more, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you feel like socially, like, I'm sure, I don't know how big your program is and like meeting people, like, do most people know what celiac is, or are you kind of explaining?
Most people knew,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone has been so good about it that it's been really easy for me, and I really appreciate that. But I would say that most of my friends, like even before I left, have been so good about it, which makes my life so much less stressful, and I am really grateful to have people like that in my life.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Okay, so you keep talking about how like you're less stressed. Yes. How does that really like translate for you like on a day to day? Like, do you think you're thinking about celiac less, or is it just like, does it feel like a weight off your shoulders?
It does. It feels like I have to prepare. Like I don't have to plan or prepare as much when I like go out or when I do things or when I'm being social. Like I don't have to double check the restaurant menus ahead of time, or I don't have to know that like if I go to this one like neighborhood or one town, like these are the like 3 places that I can eat safely. Like it feels like I'm able to be more spontaneous, which I really like, and that's one of the things that I think I've missed the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I love that. I was going to ask if you felt like a difference in being spontaneous.
I do. Yeah, I really do.
Fun. Do you feel like there's more, like, okay, so there's more understanding of celiac disease and cross-contamination, which is nice. Do you think there's more, like, gluten-free options in general, or, like, gluten-free buns, for example, at a hamburger place, or is it more just, like, the cooking people are aware of?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the baseline of gluten-free product tastes better.
Okay.
I know you've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but like the baseline of Udi's products being everywhere. Udi's is not my favorite. I appreciate what they've done for the gluten-free community, and I appreciate that their products are everywhere, but they're like, I don't find them very good.
Yeah, I don't like Udi's. I'm with you.
And I think like if that's the baseline here, like the baseline for other products in the UK is like so much higher. They like taste better. They don't fall apart when you like bite into your hamburger. Okay. And so that has been really exciting for me too. And I think there's just more options, honestly.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious if you've noticed a financial cost difference. I know there's, you know, what, you're converting to the pound? Is that right? Okay. So like, I guess kind of factoring that in, but do you think it's the same cost to be gluten-free in London? More expensive?
I've actually been thinking about this. I've been doing some like financial stuff because I've been curious. I think the markup between the regular and the gluten-free is less than it is in like New York grocery stores from what I've experienced, which is kind of exciting. I would say a lot of places, like I feel like a lot of restaurants I go to in the U.S. will like charge you a ridiculous amount to modify things to make them gluten-free, and I haven't seen those ridiculous charges on a lot of the other menus, which is also really exciting. Like you're not getting like a $5 charge or £5 charge in addition to like your plate of pasta, which is nice. Yeah.
Totally. I love that. That's like one of my pet peeves. I feel like sometimes I'll go to a restaurant and they don't have a gluten-free bun, but they have a lettuce wrap, and it's $3 extra
Are you serious?
to get a lettuce wrap. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this has to be cheaper than just the regular bun. Why are you charging me $3 more to not have a bun?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I've been seeing that more and more, and I'm like, this is just
that's
discrimination. Like, what's going on here?
I know. It's like targeting you.
Yeah. Wait, okay, so what is like your favorite restaurant in London that you've been to?
I'd say I have 2.
Okay.
So there's one restaurant, I think it was the first one accredited by Celiac UK.
Okay.
It's called Niche Gluten-Free Dining. It is absolutely spectacular. It's 100% gluten-free. And every time like someone comes into London to visit me, like that's where we have to go. Because I'm like, this is so delicious. You're absolutely going to love it.
Yeah.
And they have like everything. They have like a proper Sunday roast lunch, which is really exciting, which isn't something I've really been able to try. There are a couple pubs that do it. It's like the British equivalent of a Thanksgiving dinner. Is kind of what people have told me. I'm sorry, British people, if I'm getting that wrong. But they, like a lot of the components of it aren't like naturally gluten-free. And so when I moved, everyone was like, this is what you have to try. Like this is British culture. Like you need to experience this. And so I got to experience it at that restaurant. And then the other one is a bakery. It's called Manadoo. And they ship internationally, actually.
Ooh.
We just discovered it. Yes, would recommend.
Maybe they'll ship to the pod.
They should. But they make gluten-free croissants that are, like, when you, like, open them, they're, like, flaky. They, like, you can't, I mean, I don't know because I, like, haven't had a normal croissant in a long time. But, like, to me, you can't tell that they're different. And so when I came home, from London in December, I went to the bakery a couple days before and I brought them back for my sister. So I carried them on the plane with me. And she like actually lost her mind. She was like, these are the best things I've ever had. I was like, I know.
Oh my God.
They're so delicious. So when you go to London, that's where you need to go.
When, not if. I will be there at some point for sure. Wait, okay, so, and I don't know why I think of Nando's when I think of London. Probably because, I don't know if you were a One Direction fan growing up, but like. A
little bit, but not as much as.
I'm a bit older than you, so I think it was like my generation of like 4 years older. But I just remember like they were obsessed with Nando's and I associate that with like London because of that from like a young age.
They have a gluten-free menu, I think.
Okay, so do you trust Nando's?
I've never been, so I don't know. But I was looking it up recently and curious. I don't know. I would need to do some more research or ask some people, but I think they might be okay.
I've eaten there before, but like
okay, so then
in Chicago, so I don't know. I don't know why I thought to ask that.
Yeah, but I feel like if they've made it to the U.S. and can do gluten-free things in the U.S., they most likely can do it.
Totally.
Okay, but
if we've learned anything today. Yes. I know it's easier to manage celiac in terms of like the logistics, but it seems like you're, really on top of things. So like, I'm just curious if you did notice a difference in terms of symptoms or if like it's pretty much the same, but it just takes less like logistical work every week.
I've never had really bad celiac related symptoms that I know of.
Okay, like since you were diagnosed?
Yes, since I was diagnosed. I mean, I react really badly if I eat gluten. My sister reacts even worse. So but I mean, there's a whole bunch of like IBS gut issues that I have that I feel like that are related to the celiac. But I don't think I've noticed a difference between being in the U.S. and being in the U.K. with those. I think that's just my system is messed up.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Wait, so when was the last time you accidentally glutened yourself?
That I know of, like that I'm like 100% sure was gluten was I think like 3 years ago. So it's been a really long time. My sister was unfortunately glutened like a week ago. So that was not good.
Oh no.
But no, it's been a really, really long time.
Okay.
And
do you remember the situation?
Yes. So I was at the beach. I was in the Caribbean, and I ordered a drink, like a blended cocktail, and they blended it in a blender that they had just made an Oreo milkshake in, and they didn't like clean it properly, and so I was so ill, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like all I've had like in the past, because I was sick like within an hour, and so that's usually when I know. It's like all I've had in the past hour was like a drink. Like that's crazy. Yeah. And then I realized that it was like cross-contaminated, and then I was like, oh my goodness. Gosh. Now when I like go to a bar, I have to order something, I need to be really careful to make sure that things are kind of separate, or like the way that I'm ordering or what I'm ordering is entirely gluten-free. So I hadn't even thought about that until this happened.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary. So did you go back and ask them? And they told you?
I did, because I was trying to figure it out, and so they were like, well, we didn't put anything in your drink. I was like, of course you didn't. Like, I understand that.
Yeah. They're just like, force gluten into your drink.
And so then they went back and like checked the tickets, and they were like, oh, this is what we made, and like they cleaned it on like just like the bar cleaning, but it didn't like go through the dishwasher or something like that, and so it wasn't totally.
And Oreos is like, that's like a lot of.
Yeah, that's a lot of
gluten.
That's
very glutinous. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I just did an episode. The episode before this was all about like alcohol and celiac disease.
I saw some of that.
Yeah, and that just kind of reminds me of like, I mean, for a while I feel like I didn't think about that stuff either, because it's just it's
like, why would you be thinking about it? Yeah.
Like it's just, you have to like really like learn from your mistakes in that regard, unless you, I guess, listen to a podcast that tells you to just do it. I know,
everyone go listen.
But yeah, for that reason, I feel like if I'm ordering a drink, like I just don't have anything like fancy. I'm just like, keep it simple.
Oh, but like it's no fun.
I know, and like those are like fun drinks, but I'm like,
but you have to be
sometimes
careful.
In those situations I'd rather not have the conversation
and ask,
and I'd just rather like order something that's like just like a glass of wine or something very simple.
Yeah. Or like something that comes from a can, so you know it's like less likely to be.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so your youngest sister has celiac. So you're the oldest in your family. Okay. And you were diagnosed first?
I was diagnosed first, and then they tested the whole rest of my family.
Yeah.
And we think that my great-grandmother also had celiac, because she was like very small. She always had like really bad like stomach issues and things like that. And so my mom and I have talked about it. We were like, that actually sounds right, because it's like if you follow like genetics, like that's on my mom's side. So
Totally. I always think about that too. I'm like, who in my family had it before me? So I got diagnosed at 11, so like similar
so
age to you. And everyone else in my family got tested and no one else had it.
Really?
In my immediate family, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I have 2 older brothers and then like my 2 parents.
And no one has the gene or like might develop it?
Okay, see, that's the thing like I don't know about. I think they just did the blood test.
Okay.
So I don't know if they got tested for the gene. How do you know how that process works
I
or no?
Don't know. I think I was too young and too blinded by the fact that my entire life was ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, so how was that transition from like going from, oh my gosh, like my life is ending to now like you're talking about it on a podcast, like you have such a great attitude about it seems.
Thank you. It was tricky. It was really tricky. I think one of the best things, and this was my mom's idea, so like all props to her. We went to the grocery store and we bought like almost all of the gluten-free products that we could find, essentially. Like we started in different categories and depending on the day. We had a huge list on the fridge and it was yummy and yucky. And we would write the brands down that were good and we would write the brands down that we were like, we never need to try this again. Because there's so many gluten-free products out there and some of them are not the best.
So bad. I remember having some in middle school and being like, this is awful. Like the Glutino brand, I hated.
So my sister's obsessed with their knockoff Oreos.
Okay,
like their
I haven't tried
cookies.
those.
They're good. They're really good. She's onto something with that.
Okay.
But like the rest of their stuff, again, it's easy to access, so I appreciate that, but it isn't the best in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we just ran through and we were trying so many things because I think my worst nightmare was I would never be able to find something that tasted good again. Mm-hmm. And after like trying the first few gluten-free things, I was like, oh my God, like it all falls apart and it has no flavor. Yeah. And so like the more we tried things, the more I realized that like, okay, this was going to be all right. Like I was going to get to kind of feel normal again. Yeah. And then kind of very soon after that, I went to the restaurant Senza Gluten, which is here. You've been. I have been, yeah. And they had just opened, I think, recently when I was diagnosed. Okay. And it's like an entirely gluten-free Italian restaurant. Mm-hmm. I sat down, I could order anything off the menu. There was bread, and I was like, okay, I can be normal. Like there are places where like
it is so crazy going to an 100% gluten-free restaurant that's celiac safe and just not having to think about it. It's so fun.
I always feel like I get overwhelmed by the options on the menu because I never have choices like that. I'm like, I need a second.
No, I know. Same. I feel like I'm very used to like specific meals because those are what tends to be gluten-free. Yes. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get like a plain fish or a plain meat and like broccoli.
Yeah, and like a salad and a potato maybe. It's just,
Exactly. So when there's everything, I'm like, ravioli, what do you mean?
The best is when they have desserts that you can eat.
I know,
That's always what gets me. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That is so fun.
Because if someone asks me like what my favorite food is, like my answer is chocolate or like dessert. So that's always what I look for.
Wait, what is like the go-to dessert in London? Are they famous for something or not really?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But I found really good gluten-free donuts in London.
Oh,
so
yeah, okay.
That it's exciting.
Where are those at?
It's called Borough 22. They're in Selfridges, which is the department store, and they kind of pop up other places, but they're so delicious.
Okay.
I went right before I left, and they had a special, like, peppermint stick one. I was like, oh, my God. This is, like, the best thing ever.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so you went to high school in New York City?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay. And how was celiac disease during high school?
I would say it was tricky but manageable. I went to the same school, kindergarten through 12th grade. Okay. And I was having some reactions from the food in the cafeteria. And because everyone ate the school lunch. And so they were so careful, but it was just when I had been diagnosed.
They wouldn't let anyone bring their lunches?
Yeah, you weren't able to bring your lunch. And
interesting.
And I was reacting and like they were careful, but I was too sensitive at that point. So I started to bring my own food. Mm-hmm. So like that was a little weird for me. Like no one around me cared, but like I cared, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like you're the one person bringing your own food.
Yeah, like I felt weird. I was like, I don't know, 13 years old. And I was like, I'm carrying a lunchbox to school. Like,
no, I totally get that, yeah.
But I would say it was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. I think the lunch thing was probably the biggest one that like I noticed or that I remember.
Yeah, totally. And then how was the transition from high school to college?
That was tricky. Okay. That was really tricky. Like eating in the dining halls in college was really hard for me. I just remember my freshman year, I went to one of the dining halls and they had like a Mediterranean station, and so I got falafel because it was labeled gluten-free. I was like, this is great. It's not fried, it's baked, and there's not like flour in it. I asked all my questions because I was scared even though the labels were there, and so I ate it, and I like felt a little weird afterwards, but I wasn't gonna worry about it. I just chalked that up to like me always feeling weird when I eat. And then I went back like the next day, and that same station, the same food had gluten in the label, and I was like, excuse me.
Like someone maybe just like mixed up the labels, or like,
I was like, I ate this yesterday. I don't know what's happening. And so like I emailed the school and I emailed the dietitian, and like,
okay, that's smart.
They changed things, but it was really stressful, and it made it like hard for me to trust the labels, if that makes sense. And so then after my freshman year, I moved into apartments on campus and mostly cooked for myself.
Okay.
And so like if I went to the dining hall with friends, I would like bring my food, which was like a little weird, but none of my friends cared. So like again, like I cared more than the people around me.
Exactly. But it's one of those things, like that's always how it's gonna be with anything, but like no one else really cares, but it's like, I don't know, you're the main character for all in your life. And it feels like a big deal, so I get that.
No, college was hard. I would say.
College was hard for me too with gluten. I feel like, so I chose my dorm freshman year because it was supposed to be like the most like so I went to Northwestern, and we had like dining halls in specific dorm rooms. So I chose my dorm room because like that dining hall was supposed to be the best for gluten-free.
That's smart.
Yeah. But then like I go there because it's like the one that has like one little like healthy aisle versus just like fried chicken.
Yeah.
I know. So I just remember it was like a year of eating like plain white rice and like baked chicken, and it was so bland and so disgusting. And I was like going from like in high school, like my mom was making me like home cooked meals every night that were like had some flavor to them,
and they were different,
like, yummy.
and you had variety.
And I just went to having like plain white rice and chicken for like
it's been so hard
year. And I just remember, I don't know, it's so funny because in the moment I didn't think about it that much. I just kind of in the back of my mind was like, oh, like this doesn't taste good, like I'm looking forward to eating ever, like this is not fun. But then like now having full control, just like being an adult and like being able to eat whatever I want and having so many gluten-free options in the city, I now realize how like that was so bad. But in the moment I just knew that I wasn't enjoying it, but I didn't know any difference. I was like, okay, whatever.
Also,
exactly.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, that was not good.
I should have fixed that. I just remember also for a while the breakfast in the dining hall was only at one station, and so it was all cross-contaminated, so I couldn't eat any of it. Like, I'm not a big breakfast person. I need to change that. But I was like, oh, I can't eat breakfast. And, like, that was just the norm. I was like, that's a little weird.
No, totally. Crazy. I feel like that happens a lot with, like, work situations. Like, they'll order something to cater at the office, and they'll have like gluten-free options, vegan options, vegetarian options, but they're just all in one place, and it's like some people are using the utensils for items with gluten and vice versa, and I'm just like, okay, well, I appreciate the effort here, and like I'm not trying to be high maintenance, but I really will need my own individual meal, which like it is one of those things that I guess you should contact the person in charge of the event, but then sometimes it's just like I just go and like buy my own thing because I'm like I don't want to deal with that.
Like I don't know. Sometimes it's just annoying. Like, it's annoying to have it all put on you sometimes. And, like, I know that, like, that's how, like, things like this work. And, of course, you advocate for yourself, but sometimes you get tired. And it's just not worth it.
Yeah. I think whenever I was, like, freshly post-grad, I was, like, very into advocating for myself. Like, I remember at my old job, like, they would be catering pizza for lunch. And I would, like, email the person beforehand and be like, I also at the time, like, I guess was on like a tighter budget because I was like just out of school. So I was like, I need to have this free lunch at the office.
So you're motivated.
Yeah. So I would like email the person and be like, I have a gluten allergy and I expect to have accommodations.
But that's what you have to do.
But now I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like I'm just going to go buy my own like little bowl next to the office and then just like bring it and eat it with my coworkers and like whatever. Like I don't want to do the whole email thing, but yeah, it's whatever people want to do, I guess.
No, I know. And there's some days where like it's worth it to you, and there's some days where you just can't be bothered, unfortunately.
Exactly. I have a random question. I'm curious how you think about like celiac disease with your identity. I think like we were diagnosed kind of at like similar ages where, I mean, I guess you're almost at this point, but I've had celiac disease longer than I haven't.
Right.
So I don't know. It's also like I have a podcast about celiac disease. Like I'm kind of making it my whole personality online, but in real life, it's really not my whole personality. But then sometimes it comes off that way to my friends because it's like, okay, I'm getting dinner with my friends practically every time I see them. Every time I have dinner, I have to see what's gluten-free and like talk to the waiter. So like, how do you feel about your identity separate from celiac, or is it just a part of you?
That's a really good question. I think it's like accidentally become a really big part of me.
Yeah.
That, like when people, like when I meet people, it's like is one of the first few big things that I think is just talked about or that people like learn about me. And I don't know if that's necessarily a positive or a negative. It's more just is.
Exactly.
But my college friends and I had a long running joke that like they would be talking about some food and then they would like look at me and they're like, we know you can't eat that. Because like I would just be joking about it. I'm like, well, I would love to try that, but I can't. Yeah. And so I think it's just kind of become like a big part of who I am. And
exactly.
I don't know. I think there's something nice about that. I really appreciate what you do on the podcast. I think that a lot of people are kind of, or when I was younger, I think I didn't quite realize that there were this many people out there who had celiac. I kind of thought it was just like a very small thing, and I didn't realize that people were struggling with the same things that I was, like the stress that comes with having to like ask all your questions at a restaurant, or like not feeling like you can be included in a social setting because you have to bring your own food, or that like you can't like quite be like 100% like off and like enjoying your night because you're like always kind of aware of it. And so I think it's become a part of my personality because it's important to me that like I can talk to my sister about this and that like we can have these conversations, and that like
oh my god, that's
like
so funny. You have a sister that has celiac. I want one. When
really
I want a sister, when I want a sibling that has celiac, I need both.
Because we'll be somewhere and we'll just look at each other and we're like, yeah, this is crazy. And so I appreciate that there are more people out there talking about celiac, and that like more people have those relationships and have role models like that, even if they don't have individual like friends or like siblings who have the disease. I don't know. Have you felt like it's really become a big part of your own personality? Kind of aside, like putting the podcast and everything aside, like when you like make friends or when you like meet new people even?
Yeah, totally. Well, I feel like in high school, I never talked about it. Like none of my friends really knew that I was gluten-free.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I guess it came up eventually, but it was never like the first thing. But I also think like in high school, it's different. Like you bring your own lunch. Like everyone brings their own lunch. It's not, well, I guess not at your high school, but at mine.
But like the standard is,
Yeah. So it wasn't anything then. But then when I started meeting new people in college, I realized that like it was becoming my personality, because it would come up so naturally, so quickly in college, just because it's a different environment. And then now I think like with coworkers, it doesn't come up as quickly, so it feels like a little less until there's like a thing. Like I think all my coworkers at this point know, but I've been in my company now for 2 years.
Right.
So of course.
Yeah, you'd hope that they would know something about you. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I do feel like whenever I meet new people in New York, it's like, it's always one of the first things that they'll learn about me, just because it comes up so naturally.
I know. It's not like I'm trying to like make everyone know that I have celiac, but it just happens.
Yeah, it comes up because, I mean, usually people are like eating together and
or someone will be like, can I buy you a drink? Like, do you want a beer? And I'm like, no. No, I do not want that. Right. Like, and just,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I feel like I don't think of it as a part of my personality, but sometimes I'm like, oh, this is like probably the first thing that a lot of people think of when they think of me, which is interesting. But yeah, it shouldn't be positive or negative. If anything, it should be a positive.
No, it definitely is. But
it just is. Like, this is who we are, so.
Now I kind of want to go ask my friends if like that was like one of the first things they knew about me or not. I'm curious. Or when they think about me, is that what they think of? I know a lot of my friends, like, they'll think about me and they're like, oh yeah, the one who's like obsessed with history. And that's fine. Yeah. But I wonder like where celiac kind of falls on that.
I know. Well, it's funny. I don't know if you've ever done like a week-long camp or something.
I used to go to sleepaway camp.
Okay, yeah. I feel like when I would do that, in that environment, like being gluten-free comes up more, because like typically you have to go to like a separate station and whatever. Yeah. And like at the end of the like week, I feel like it would be so common for people to like fill out different like questionnaires about you, if you know what I'm talking about. Where it's like, oh, like we love Lucia because she's like nice and whatever. And then they list all these qualities that like they think of when they think of you. And it's like people would always put like gluten-free online. Because that's like what you're known for. You're known as like the gluten-free person.
Yes. Well, I also at my camp we used to be able to like bring some snacks with us. So all my friends would be like, "Oh my god, can we get one of your like special cookies or like can we get one of your like rollers?" I'm like, "Yes, like I'm special because I'm gluten-free." And like that made me feel kind of good. I don't know. Yeah. Like usually it's like such a negative to like have to like go deal with all like the gluten stuff. I was like, "Oh, but like I get my special treats. Like this is exciting."
I know. Well, sometimes it is such a positive in that way because, like, what I was saying, like, at a work example,
Right.
like, if you do get to just, like, order your own dedicated thing sometimes when everything else is catered, it is kind of nice and you feel special.
Right.
So, yeah, totally.
No, it's fun.
Exactly. Well, we got to make it fun.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to choose for it to be fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Celiac is fun, guys. Okay, this was such a fun conversation. Not to say fun again, but I want to end with some rapid fire.
Yes.
So, okay, if your answer is Senza Gluten, that's okay. I was going to say you can't say this, but you can. Your best gluten-free restaurant in New York City?
Restaurant would definitely be Senza Gluten.
Okay.
But bakery would probably be By the Way Bakery.
Ooh, I still haven't been there. That's
you
on the
have
Upper
to
East
go.
Side, right?
There's one on the Upper West and one on Upper East.
Okay.
But their chocolate cake is like my favorite thing of all time. That is like always like if like birthday cakes and like my family, like that's always what we get. It's so delicious.
Wait, yum. Okay. Go to international flight meal.
Like if I'm packing food for myself or
whatever you want. Do you usually pack or do you usually
I pack food.
Oh, you do?
Usually
Okay.
I'll make a grilled cheese because like I know it's like standard. It like will get a little soggy, but it's fine. I know I'll like it. And then just a lot of snacks.
Okay, that's smart. So you'll never have like the gluten-free meal option.
Sometimes, yeah, I'll usually request it, but
you'll see what it is.
Usually
like, okay,
it.
at least I have another option.
Yeah, I like to have the backup. Yeah.
That's smart. I was. Do you know No Gluten Gabby?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I had her on the podcast, and I saw like a month or two ago she posted that she was like on an international flight, and they just like forgot the gluten-free meal option.
Before.
Yeah, that's never happened to me, but I'm hearing about it so much that it's making me nervous. So I'm like, okay, next time I go on an international flight, I'm going to be sure to bring something.
Well, I've gotten served something and I've like opened it. I was like, this looks like bread. Like that's kind of funny. So I'll like ask them like, oh yeah, like the like kosher meal. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, that's not. Like I appreciate that I've gotten a special meal, but that's not the meal that I could eat.
That happened to me once on an international flight last year. I was like flying back from Lisbon and they brought out my meal and I was like, this doesn't look gluten-free. Like I called them over and they were like, oh, sorry, we gave you the vegan meal. Yeah. And I was like, okay, or vegetarian, whatever. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. Because being glutened while like in the air on an international flight, like that sounds awful. Like, that actually sounds like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, that does sound awful.
Yeah.
Okay, what is one thing you wish the U.S. would adopt from the UK?
Just like the labeling laws, honestly, like what you were talking about earlier. I just wish it was so much easier and clearer what was gluten-free, both in terms of like packaged food, but also like kind of ready-made things at like grocery stores or bodegas or other places.
Yeah, for sure. And if you moved back to New York City tomorrow, what would you miss most about eating in the UK?
The croissants.
Great
Honestly,
answer.
I feel like there's a couple bakeries that do them really well, like the one I mentioned earlier, and I haven't found it here.
Yeah. Have you been to France?
Not in a long time.
Okay.
But it's on the list.
Shocked that the croissants would be so amazing in London. There might be some good ones in France, but
I will need to taste test and I'll get back to you.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much again. This was such a great episode. I just want to give like a little disclaimer to our audience that this isn't to say that like the UK is better than the US.
No, certainly not.
But just like it's an interesting conversation to like talk about the differences and what the laws are and then your personal experience. So thank you for being willing to share it with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Where can people follow you? Do you want people to follow you?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm on Instagram. It's Riley M. Neubauer. Y'all are welcome to follow along. I don't know. People have told me that I need to start a gluten-free blog or like a cooking thing. And so I've been toying with the idea. So we'll see.
Okay.
But I
would
seeing things like this that you do, it's inspiring.
Thank you guys for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to rate the show, leave us a 5-star review, share this episode with a friend, especially if you know someone that's moving to London.
I know, please.
Or traveling, yeah. And I will see you here next Wednesday. Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Celiac Diaries podcast. I hope you're leaving with a tip, a story, or just a little inspiration to live your best life with celiac. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a review. I'll see you back here next Wednesday. And until then, stay well.